What the business, YouTube? Episode 13. My name is Jay Florida, and today's career of discussion is a construction worker. So, what is a construction worker? A construction worker is a person who works on a building crew, responsible for preparing equipment, operating machinery, and erecting or dismantling structures. Now, to give you a piece of history, humans have always had the need to construct, plain and simple. The earliest piece of evidence we have to support this is a 1.8 million year old site of stones set in a circle in Alduvia Gorge that suggests rudimentary shelter building. Now, a few basic requirements to becoming a construction worker include obtaining a diploma or GED, having a driver's license, joining a union apprenticeship, obtaining an OSHA safety card, or simply applying for an entry-level position. Now, applying for an entry-level position should take you just a few days, but if you're wanting to aim for a higher specialization, it could take you as long as 5 years. Now, again, it shouldn't cost you anything, but if you're wanting to opt for optional training programs, it could run you as much as $5,000. As far as your range as an entry-level construction worker, you can expect to make $30,000 to $35,000, with a few things affecting how much you take home being experience, location, and those higher paying roles that I mentioned before, such as senior project manager, site superintendent, master electrician, and chief site estimator, to name a few. Now, a day in life as a construction worker can be described as lifting, digging, climbing, long periods of standing, in other words, physically demanding, frequently outdoors in all seasons, often involving early morning starts, working nights, or weekends. And as far as opportunity goes, the construction worker does score green since this is not a gate-kept industry. All right. Examples. For this episode, there will not be a list since this is not a career that dubs fame and notoriety or anything of the sort. But if you're wanting to grab more information on what it's like to be a construction worker or how to become a construction worker, I'm sure you can look up local companies or workers in the area, and you let them have it. Now, for our fact moment segment of this episode, starting off the list, we have fact number 1. In 1196 AD, Al-Aziz Uthman, son of Saladin and the Sultan of Egypt, gave up on trying to destroy the pyramids. He attempted to destroy the pyramids, starting with the Pyramid of Menkaure, the smallest of the three, but his workers struggled for 8 months, finding it costly and too difficult to destroy. Fact number 2. It took just over 4 years to build the Golden Gate Bridge, with construction lasting from January 5, 1933 until its completion on April 19, 1937. It officially opened to the public on May 27, 1937, totaling 1,604 days. And fact number 3, the home insurance building in Chicago, designed by William LeBaron Jenney, is widely considered as the world's first skyscraper, pioneering the use of structural steel frame for height, though it was demolished in 1931. As for currently standing buildings, the Rookery Building in Chicago is often cited as the oldest skyscraper still in use, noted for its innovative design and ornate lobby. Now for our last segment before we move on to the circle of influence, we have health risks and mitigation, starting off with exposure to dusts and fumes leading to respiratory issues and other cancers. Musculoskeletal disorders as a result of heavy lifting, repetitive tasks, and poor ergonomics. Exposure to elements such as high temperatures, which can lead to heat exhaustion, dehydration, and heat stroke. And last but not least, hearing and vision issues as a result of frequent exposure to loud noises and eroding debris. To mitigate all this, follow OSHA standards, including proper protective equipment, hazard communication training, and fall protection systems. Implementing on-site medical services and wellness programs to address lifestyle risks such as smoking and dieting, and regular health screenings. Proper ventilation to minimize dusts and fume exposure, and of course, adequate breaks. Now, that does it for our primary segment. I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor to my co-host. Let him take over for the Circle of Influence. Lots of traffic out today, right? If you hear a car driving by my segment, you owe me a comment, like, or subscription. Circle of Influence. Starting things off, we have respect. Is this a career or position that brings me respect and dignity? For this segment, the construction worker does score green. You know, it's one of those kind of careers. Back-breaking labor. It's not easy work. But at the end of the day, you are still bringing home a good chunk of change. Moving on, we have growth. Is this a career or position that provides me with the opportunity to grow from a $100,000 earning threshold? For this segment, the construction worker scores yellow, with sources online citing that the construction worker has the potential to make as much as $200,000 in a given year, although those are specialized positions and usually require 10 or more years on the job. But, you can still grow. Moving on, we have gore. Is this a career or position that would have me in a situation where I'm dealing with an abundance of blood, violent action, graphic imagery, or scenery? For this segment, the construction worker does score green. And for our last ideological standpoint, moral conflict. Is this a career or position that will have me compromise any of my foreseeable morals? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill, the basic set of guidelines. For this segment, again, the construction worker scores green. Moving on to the ideological side of things, we have gender demographics, where men make up 90% of the industry and women make up 10% of the industry. Next, we have ethnic demographics, where Caucasians make up 50% of the industry, Hispanics make up 25% of the industry, and African Americans make up 10% of the industry. Last but not least, location demographics, top paying states in no particular order. We have Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and Hawaii. Now, that does it for the Circle of Influence. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor back to Florida. I'm back. I'm about to have a heat stroke myself, but to put the construction worker into summary, it's a well-paying, respectable position. You do have a comfortable amount of room to grow, although some will argue that, it'll take you a while. Opportunity is in abundance, and it doesn't cost you anything except but to start with the application. With that being said, it does look like we have a full episode here. The word of the day is tenure. Self-help resources on the board as always. I'll leave it down in the description. And to show your support, if you want to see this kind of content more often, make sure to comment, like, or subscribe. And I'll see you guys on episode 14.